Hi there, this is Miss Pam. We're going to read a book about hermit crabs this afternoon. We're talking about the beach this week, and what do you find on the beach but crabs and seashells? Is this house for a hermit crab? Hermit crab was forever growing too big for the house on his back. It was time to find a new house. He crawled up out of the water, looking for something to hide in, where he would be safe from the prickle pine fish. He stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Scritch, scratch, squish, scratch. He dragging his shell and walking along until he came to a rock. Is this rock a house for a hermit crab? Turning himself around, hermit crab backed his hind legs beneath the rock, and the rock would not budge. It was too heavy. So he took his shell off, and he's trying to put the rock on. So he stepped along the seashore by the sea in the sand. Squish, scratch, squish, scratch. Until he came to this rusty old tin can. Is this a house for a hermit crab? When he tried to walk with the can on his back, he bumped and clumped. It was too noisy. So he stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Squish, squash, squish, squash. Until he came to a piece of driftwood. Is this a house for a hermit crab? Hermit crab crawled deep inside the rounded hollow at one end. It was too dark. So he stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Squish, squash, squish, squash, until he came to a small plastic pail. Is this a house for hermit crab? Climbing up towards him, oops, he fell right in it. He clawed and clawed until he climbed back out. It was too deep. He stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand, squish, scratch, scritch, scratch, until he came to a nice round hole in the sand. Is this a house for a hermit crab? He poked his head down in the opening, and a huge pair of eyes blinked back at him. Hermit crab shivered as he scurried away from the big fiddler crab peering out of his burrow. It was too crowded, so he stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Squish, scratch, squish, scratch, until he came to a fishing net. Is this a house for a hermit crab? Poking his claws into the heap, he got tangled and caught. Hermit crab wiggled and wiggled until he found his way out of the net. It has too many holes. So he stepped along the shore by the sea in the sand. Squish, scratch, squish, scratch. All of a sudden, a gigantic wave tossed and tumbled pebbles and sand over Hermit Crab's head. He swirled and whirled with the tide and was washed back out to sea. Sleeker than a shark, the prickly pine fish darted out from hiding place in the tall seaweed. Every spine on his back stood straight as a steeple, mouth open wide, headed right for the hermit crab, and the hermit crab raced across the ocean floor. Squish, 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 squish. Scurrying behind him, the first creature he saw, a small snail, and he hoped it would hide him. But the shell was empty. The shell was empty? The hermit crab scrambled inside as quick as a flash and clamped his claw over the opening of the shell. The prickly pine fish and the snail shelled 3 times, but he could not catch the sight of the crab that he had been chasing. He glided off in search of something else to eat. So see the claw of the crab is covering his new shell he found, an empty shell. When he seemed still and quiet, the hermit crab snuggled comfortably down into his new shell. It was not too heavy, not too noisy, not too dark, not too deep, was not crowded, and he did not have too many holes. There's his old shell, there's his new shell. At last, Hermit Crab found a new home, and it fit just right. The end. So now, just for fun, we're going to make a hermit crab. So, if you have a paper plate, you can use paper plate, but Miss Pam did not have a paper plate. So I went and got a plate and a piece of white paper. And you need 2 pieces of white paper, crayons, scissors, and glue or tape. So I put my plate down and I traced it with the crayon, and I have a circle. I cut out my circle. We're going to do the cutting part first. And then I folded my circle in half. Okay, so you cut your circle, fold it in half. You cut it on the half part. Okay. And then you fold it just a little bit, not quite all the way half. And you cut it again. And you're going to need these 2 pieces, but you have to cut it like half of it off. And you're going to cut this one like straight across. Just cut off that top. You don't need it. Then on your other half of the circle, you fold it. You want to have 3 sizes. So you can cut that in half and use a quarter. And then again, I'm going to cut this baby a little bit off. And cut it. And cut it. Then you have, so then you put it together, biggest, next size, biggest to smallest. I may have done, okay, that's good. Now, after you put your shell together, that's your shell, I have my other piece of paper that I made like a beach. I put some brown sand down there and some blue water. So that's where I'm going to put my hermit crab on. Out of the extra piece of paper that you had when you cut your circle out, you're going to cut a half on one part. You're going to cut just a little body out. It's like a half a circle, a half a oval. And then you're going to draw some crab arms. And you're going to cut out your crab arms. And I already cut 2 out, so I'm going to stop there. Then you're going to color your crab arms. I have to drop one. So I colored my crab arms. And then you're going to start coloring your pieces. Whoops. Before you glue them down. So here's your thing. So I colored my head orange. Or yellow, sorry. And I gave it a face. This is my hermit crab. And I'm going to put his crab arms under him. They were orange. And then I colored the shell. The biggest part of my shell I colored red. And then you build your shell. Next part of my shell I colored brown. Then I colored red. And then I colored brown. And there is my hermit crab with his shell. So I hope you enjoy your activity along with your book tonight. Have a good evening. Bye.